Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders find themselves at a pivotal crossroads as the 2025 season nears its conclusion, and the quarterback situation has once again become a headline-grabbing concern for the franchise. With Jayden Daniels sidelined for the remainder of the season, Marcus Mariota assumed the starting duties in Week 16 against the Philadelphia Eagles, but fate intervened, leaving Mariota unable to finish the contest. While the veteran signal caller cleared concussion protocol following the game, he sustained a laceration on his throwing hand, throwing his availability for the final two games into uncertainty. Head coach Dan Quinn confirmed that the team would explore the possibility of adding a quarterback to provide depth as they navigate this turbulent stretch, signaling a recognition that relying solely on a banged-up Mariota and a journeyman backup may not be sufficient for the final weeks of the campaign. The news was not entirely surprising, given that Daniels is officially out, and Quinn emphasized that the young quarterback will not return regardless of the circumstances. As a result, attention naturally shifts to Mariota's recovery and whether he can suit up in Week 17 when the Commanders host the Dallas Cowboys on Christmas Day, a matchup that, while void of playoff implications for both sides, still represents an opportunity for pride and momentum heading into the offseason. Stepping in once Mariota went down, Josh Johnson, the 40-year-old veteran, took the reins under center. Johnson's career has been marked by a remarkable level of mobility across the league, with 48 regular season appearances prior to this point, and that number could increase depending on how the team addresses its quarterback depth in the coming days. Mariota, now 32, signed another one-year deal to remain in Washington this past offseason, a decision that positions him as a pending free agent. His performance and availability over these final games will weigh heavily on his perceived value as he approaches the next chapter of his career. Should Mariota be unable to play, Johnson could be called upon for his 10th career start, but the Commanders would almost certainly look to supplement their quarterback room to mitigate risk and maintain competitiveness. The stakes are high, even if the playoff picture has already been determined, as the team's approach to these last weeks could influence offseason decisions, player evaluations, and the overall direction of the franchise. While the focus understandably centers on the quarterback position, the broader assessment of the Commanders' roster, particularly their defense, has also been a topic of considerable discussion. Future Hall of Fame linebacker Bobby Wagner spoke candidly about the difficulty of evaluating the team's defensive performance this season, citing the cumulative impact of injuries. "I don't feel like it's fair to really try to assess that given the injuries that we have, given the things that we're going through," Wagner remarked, acknowledging that the media will inevitably form their own judgments regardless. His point highlights a key challenge for both analysts and fans attempting to make sense of a season marked by setbacks and roster instability. The injuries have altered the unit's dynamics and limited the ability of coaches and players to operate at full strength, making any season-long evaluation inherently incomplete until the full picture of personnel availability and performance can be considered. The Week 16 loss to Philadelphia illustrated this struggle vividly. Despite remaining competitive for much of the game, the Commanders saw their efforts unravel in the second half, surrendering over 20 points and ultimately succumbing to a 21-10 deficit. Running back Saquon Barkley capitalized on his opportunities, seizing the moment with a pivotal touchdown roughly 11 minutes before the final whistle. Wagner acknowledged Barkley's impact, noting that great players recognize moments to change a game and exploit them with precision. While the defense had moments of solid play and energy, lapses in execution and missed opportunities on key drives contributed to the loss, reinforcing Wagner's perspective that assessing the defense in isolation from the season's broader context of injuries and disruptions would be incomplete. Looking ahead to the final two games, Wagner stressed that the team remains committed to finishing strong, regardless of standings or external perceptions. The Commanders have endured a difficult season, marked by nearly a dozen losses and repeated adversity, yet Wagner emphasized the resilience and unity of the roster. "I think we got a team that just don't give up," he said, A team that's going to fight, a team that through the good and bad, we're together and came out here trying to win the game, and that's what we get paid to do. His comments reflect a commitment to a culture of perseverance, an acknowledgement that while the season's results may be disappointing, the approach to preparation, effort, and teamwork remains paramount. This mentality could prove invaluable as the team evaluates personnel decisions and identifies lessons to carry into the offseason, particularly when considering quarterback depth, player development, and defensive continuity. The immediate concern remains the quarterback position, as Mariota's health and readiness will dictate much of the Commanders' approach over the remaining weeks. If the team decides to pursue an addition, it will be a clear acknowledgement of the need to provide insurance against potential injuries and maintain a competitive edge, even in games without playoff implications. For Johnson, this could be an opportunity to demonstrate his veteran reliability and possibly make a late career mark in the league. The intersection of player health, strategic roster moves, and the team's broader goals illustrates the complexity of navigating the final stretch of a challenging season. Meanwhile, Wagner's reflections on the defense offer insight into the player's mindset, emphasizing accountability, cohesion, and the recognition that injuries can obscure the true measure of performance. As the team prepares for Week 17, the combination of determination, tactical adjustments, and leadership from both veterans and emerging talent will shape the narrative of the season's conclusion. The lessons learned over these closing games could influence the off-season plan, informing decisions about free agency, draft strategy, and the development of younger players who may assume larger roles in the future. The challenges of 2025, while frustrating, also present an opportunity for the Commanders to recalibrate, evaluate, and set the stage for a more competitive and resilient roster moving forward. Ultimately, the Commanders' story in 2025 is one of resilience in the face of adversity. The quarterback situation highlights the fragility and uncertainty inherent in NFL rosters, while Wagner's comments underscore the importance of perspective when judging performance under challenging circumstances. As the team prepares for its final 2 games, the focus will be on execution, health, and commitment to the collective effort. Whether through Mariota's potential return, Johnson's readiness to step in, or the defense's ability to respond despite injuries, the Commanders' closing chapters of the season will be defined not by standings, but by character, preparation, and the lessons that will carry into the next phase of building a competitive franchise. Each snap, each drive, and each decision over these concluding weeks carries weight far beyond the scoreboard, shaping perceptions, evaluations, and ultimately the foundation for 2026. Where the lessons of 2025 will either fuel growth or serve as cautionary reminders of the cost of instability and unfulfilled potential. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. In what can only be described as a seismic shakeup in the league, the Washington Commanders have reportedly closed a deal that could send shockwaves across the entire football world. Rumors are swirling that the team has secured the services of defensive superstar Myles Garrett, a name that resonates with dominance, fear, and game-changing potential. Garrett, who has long been considered one of the most formidable defensive ends in the league, has been a subject of endless speculation and trade rumors. But for months, it seemed as if he would remain in his current environment, locked into contracts and long-term plans. Now, the whispers are louder than ever, and insiders hint that the Commanders may have finally pulled off a move that few anticipated, a move that could redefine their defensive identity for years to come. The sheer magnitude of this potential acquisition cannot be overstated. Myles Garrett is not just any player. He is a generational talent, the kind of athlete who can single-handedly alter the dynamics of a game, shift defensive strategies, and force opponents into uncomfortable adjustments. His combination of speed, strength, and instinct has made quarterbacks across the league hesitate, rethink, and in some cases, abandon their initial game plans entirely. To imagine Garrett lining up on the edge of the Commanders' defensive front is to imagine a team suddenly transformed from competent to terrifying, a unit capable of causing nightmares for even the most elite offenses. It's a move that, if confirmed, could signal that the Commanders are not content with mediocrity, that they are aiming to become a dominant force, a team that offenses fear, a team whose presence is felt before the first snap even occurs. Speculation around this potential deal has been intense, fueled by subtle hints from both sides of the league. Sources close to the situation have indicated that negotiations have been quietly ongoing for weeks, a chess match of sorts where each side measured the value, the cost, and the potential impact of such a monumental trade. Garrett himself, known for his intense focus and competitive drive, is reportedly intrigued by the idea of a fresh start, a new challenge in a city with passionate fans and a team that has shown glimpses of greatness but has often fallen just short of its potential. The Commanders, on their part, are rumored to have made a compelling case, highlighting their vision, their commitment to building a championship-caliber team, and the opportunity for Garrett to leave an indelible mark on a franchise hungry for success. There is an unmistakable aura of anticipation surrounding the league whenever a player of Garrett's caliber becomes available. Analysts, commentators, and former players alike have weighed in on what this move could mean, not just for the Commanders, but for the broader competitive landscape. A defensive superstar like Garrett does more than rack up sacks and force turnovers. He alters the psychological fabric of the game. Offenses must account for him on every play, whether he is rushing the quarterback, setting the edge against the run, or collapsing the pocket with precision timing. The ripple effect extends beyond the field as well, influencing draft strategies, free agency decisions, and even coaching philosophies. A team adding Garrett is not just acquiring talent. It is acquiring a catalyst, a player capable of reshaping games and seasons in ways that statistics alone cannot fully capture. Insiders have also suggested that the financial implications of this rumored deal are staggering. Garrett's market value, reflecting his elite status, his consistency, and his impact on the field, is astronomical. Contract negotiations of this magnitude are complex, intricate dances involving cap considerations, long-term commitments, and performance incentives. Yet the Commanders, it appears, are willing to navigate these complexities, to make bold moves that could signal a shift in how aggressively they are approaching roster construction. There's a growing sense that the front office is sending a clear message. The era of cautious, incremental improvements may be over, replaced by a willingness to make headline-grabbing moves that could immediately elevate the team's profile and competitive standing. Beyond the numbers and the contracts, the human element of this potential acquisition adds another layer of intrigue. Myles Garrett is not only a physical marvel, but a personality who commands attention, respect, and even controversy at times. His presence in the locker room can inspire younger players, instill confidence, and set a standard for excellence that is hard to replicate. Imagine the synergy with emerging talent on the Commanders roster, the mentorship possibilities, and the electrifying energy that a player of Garrett's caliber brings to practices, meetings, and game days. The cultural impact alone could be transformative, signaling that the Commanders are a destination for elite talent, a place where stars come not just to play, but to thrive and redefine their legacies. Speculative whispers even suggest that this move could trigger a domino effect across the league. When one team secures a player of Garrett's stature, rival organizations immediately reassess their own strategies, evaluating whether they need to make comparable moves to keep pace or adjust their defensive schematics to counteract his presence. The balance of power, long thought to be predictable, suddenly becomes fluid, with every upcoming matchup carrying heightened stakes and renewed uncertainty. Fans, naturally, are abuzz, engaging in heated debates online, imagining scenarios, and projecting the potential matchups that could define not just a season, but perhaps multiple playoff runs. The narrative writes itself. A team acquiring a defensive juggernaut, a city electrified, and a league collectively holding its breath to see what unfolds. Of course, there is also an element of caution woven into these rumors. Nothing, in the world of professional sports, is guaranteed until contracts are signed, announcements made, and the league office confirms the transaction. Speculation, no matter how credible, remains a delicate dance between optimism and reality. Yet the alignment of sources, the timing of reports, and the unusual fervor surrounding the story make it hard to dismiss outright. Even skeptics admit that the Commanders' front office has demonstrated a pattern of bold, calculated moves in the past, and a strategic acquisition like Garrett fits within the broader narrative of a franchise intent on shaking off historical mediocrity and staking its claim among the league's elite. As the rumor continues to circulate, social media erupts with a mixture of excitement, disbelief, and debate. Analysts dissect every angle, from how Garrett's skill set complements the current defensive roster to how offensive coordinators across the league might adjust their game plans. Fans create hypothetical highlight reels, imagining the explosive sacks, the forced fumbles, and the game-changing plays that could define the upcoming seasons. It is, in essence, a narrative that transcends statistics and enters the realm of legend building, a story that could be talked about for years even before a single snap is taken in a Commander's uniform. And perhaps the most compelling aspect of all is the sense of possibility. The Commanders, by potentially securing Myles Garrett, are not just signing a player. They are signaling ambition, intent, and a refusal to settle. In a league where dynasties are built not just on talent, but on timing, strategy, and bold decision-making, this move, if true, could be the spark that ignites a new era, one in which the Commanders are not merely participants, but formidable contenders, a team that others measure themselves against and aspire to emulate. The rumor, electric and persistent, hangs in the air like a promise, a tantalizing hint at what might be, inviting fans, commentators, and rivals alike to imagine the impossible, to dream of a defensive juggernaut reshaping the course of the game with every snap, every tackle, and every strategic play. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.